morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Morning.
Could not be more excited to spend the morning with you, Kira, to really talk about the power of mobile in terms of building brands and engaging fans. And as we've been talking about throughout the whole conference, consumers have really voted with their time with mobile, right? eMarketer came out with a report that talked about how for the first time ever, digital has exceeded TV in terms of time spent, and that was fueled by mobile listening and mobile engagement. And we've seen it firsthand at Pandora. We were one of the first apps to launch on the iPhone, and from that moment, our business trajectory changed forever. Our audience doubled overnight, and it's grown ever since then to the point where 80% of all of our listening happens on mobile. But as we look at the consumer time spent with mobile and the fact that advertisers have not made the leap into the space yet to really match advertising investment with time spent, we look to who are the leaders out there who have really embraced mobile in their marketing strategy. And that's why we're here with Kira, who is, in our opinion at Pandora, one of the thought leaders in the mobile space. So Kira, let's start with a little bit of information about Trulia.
Sure. So thanks for everyone to join this morning and drink some gluten-free coffee. Enjoying that earlier today. So Trulia is an online real estate product experience. So for renters as well as for buyers, using our mobile products as well as our online products, you can find a place to live. And we have been around about 7 years. We're public, about 1,000 people across 4 cities. And we announced in May about 51 million unique visitors, which I think sometimes can be a little bit of a surprise. I think people think we're a little smaller than we are.
Right, that's great, 51 million people. So let's start with your marketing strategy. You've been doing some really exciting things in terms of TV and radio, but all with mobile at the core. Can you talk about your strategy and your programs there?
Sure. So I think that one of the things that's important to talk about is how we started and how we built the strategy. And I talk about this a lot, especially, and it's kind of hard to see out in the room, but maybe just for a quick minute, how many of you are running marketing in your organizations today? There's one person, 3? No.
2.
All
I
right.
see someone.
A few. Okay, great. And so one of the things that I think happens here in the Valley is that people take a very quant mindset or kind of the science mindset, and we think about the art and the science. So we really marry classic CPG, classic consumer product goods, with a Silicon Valley mindset. And so let me spend a second there. So with classic CPG, what you're doing is deeply understanding consumers, really tying together what are those key consumer insights that then we use in a test, iterate, learn, and scale environment. So that marriage of the two is really important. And so when we embarked on this journey to bring together Trulia's first national advertising campaign, the key driving consumer insights, if you think about the real estate process, so I don't know how many of you have tried to buy a home lately or bought a home recently, but it's a long process. It can take about 18.5 months from the fantasy of browsing to the reward of settling in. It's a complicated process, and it's an emotional journey, right? It's an emotional roller coaster. So what that means is that consumers are looking for a brand that they trust. And interestingly, even in this space, it's very competitive. There's no loyalty today. So we looked at that as like a wide open opportunity as a challenger brand to say like consumers are going through a long, complicated process. They're feeling a lot of pain, and they're looking for a brand to trust, right? So those are some of the guiding insights. I think the other big guiding insight that's really critical and related to mobile is that, and this is sort of a cliche, but it's true, it's location, location, location. And in fact, finding a place to live is all about that word place, right? And place is inherently mobile. So when we embarked on our first national marketing campaign, it was all about how do we bring this journey to life in an authentic way and deliver it, show it, and market it in a mobile fashion. So we're marketing our mobile product, and we're using mobile channels to bring the campaign to life.
That's amazing. And can you talk a little bit about the balance that you have to strike between brand building, because you are a true new challenger brand, and building that loyalty and favorability for your brand with the need to have cost-efficient consumer acquisition?
Yeah, so there are a couple parts to this answer. I mean, one is really to talk about this art and science. And also, I think, to implore the folks in the room, look, so I grew up at Intuit, which is a direct marketing house. I mean, I learned, from Scott Cook and all the way up that, like, you have to beat your control and data. But you also have to have awareness in the market, right? I mean, if people don't know who you are, I like to say, like, if you actually haven't brought clouds over the funnel to make it rain into the funnel, like your funnel is never going to be that effective, right? So we think about brand building and audience growth together. In fact, sometimes I describe it as we're a direct response wolf in brand sheep clothing. So we use brand creative and then very strong, hard-hitting CTAs with extremely effective targeting to deliver on brand awareness goals and effectiveness goals and performance goals at the same time.
That's great. And so as we think about building your brand in the app space, in such a competitive place where your competitors, as well as there's competition for the entire app space, competition for your phone, how do you think about your strategy there, and do you have any tips that you can share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. So the first tip is build a great product.
Yeah.
I mean, really build a great product. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that when you're marketing and you're fighting in the app store, but like it starts with a great product. And I think one of the things that I was really excited about when I joined Trulia is bringing product and marketing together. So I think we've heard from a few folks that it'd be interesting to know more about how organizations look inside companies. So my team covers consumer product, consumer marketing, design, and PR. And one of the reasons why that's so critical in a mobile environment, as I think everyone in this room knows, it's not, if I bring you in, if I spend money to bring those clouds over the funnel, and then I spend money to bring you through the funnel, and then I deliver a crappy product experience, then I have to spend that much more to get you back in, right? So first it starts with a great product experience, and it starts with extreme clarity on what is going to be most useful for your consumer, the user of your product, and to your business. So the way we make money at Trulia is we connect great agents to people who are transaction ready. So whether they're ready to buy a house or whether they're ready to rent an apartment. And we actually have a much higher transaction ready audience than our nearest competitors. So that was the baseline that we started with. We have extremely beautiful app with very clear call to action around request info. That's our native integration, right, in the product experience. So you start with a great product experience. We work with excellent partners like Pandora to target into the App Store, and we also have a pretty intense organic strategy in terms of how we use the rest of the ecosystem.
Do you use SEO, or do you have any other tactics you can share on that front?
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't want to give away too much of the store, but we certainly are aggressively looking at, on a very regular basis, the terms that we use in the store. And again, this kind of goes back to the art and the science, right? So using the art and the science from our other targeting partners and how we work with folks like Pandora and what we learn there, then we apply that back into SEO and the way we have sort of an SEO mindset within the context of the store.
Cool. So then when you think about you've done the hard part, which is getting the awareness and getting the app download. How do you look at getting that engagement, through the product, through marketing? What are the different tactics you use to keep that engagement up?
Yeah, so I mean, I think first and foremost is great product, right? So I'll kind of continue to hammer that as awesome product, and a product that, I mean, I think for those of you who are using Trulia, and if you're not, I encourage you to do that today, you'll see that it's a highly immersive experience. It's all about the photos, it's full bleed imagery, it's a beautiful experience, fast, easy to use. And so we're looking at how people are using the product, how they're behaving within the product experience. So that's a big one. Of course, email is a huge lever for us. And again, it's very relevant, right? When you're in this long, complicated process and you're trying to figure out what you like and don't like about a house or an apartment, then we're learning that about you through our behavioral data, as well as some of the things that you're sort of telling us, directly, right? And so then we feed all of that into our email programs, and then our emails also create that ongoing engagement. The other thing that we are really bullish on is notifications. And in May, we launched nearby home alerts, which is essentially, right, so you're walking down the street of San Francisco, you're looking for a rental, and when a new rental pops up within your radius, then it shows up on your phone, right? Yeah. And then we just announced with Google I/O that we have an extension of nearby home alerts on Android Wear, which is a fabulous use case for the experience on a watch, right? So we're constantly thinking about ways to engage you in the home buying process, to give you those drip pieces of information, but it's all about how are we helping you succeed in the journey of finding a place to live. and in the process, getting you back into the product experience.
Right. And if you look at sort of your personalized recommendations in conjunction with the contextual recommendations of walking around, do you find one to be more effective than the other in terms of response rate?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, it's really a mix, right? And I think that's humans. I mean, I think again, that's what you learn when you spend time on kind of the art and the science, right? Is that human insight and human behavior, then you apply into a hypothesis-driven test approach. You learn a lot in the test approach, and then you scale. So we've actually seen sort of the mix of both makes a pretty big difference.
Yeah, and as a personal lover of Trulia, real estate is my porn. Yeah, exactly. But real estate is my porn. I am always on, but I'm not in the mood to buy, right? Yep. I just like to look. Yep. And so I'm just curious, because you talked about sort of the long time frame in which people, and the emotional connection in which people make the purchase decision or the rental decision. What happens after that, after they've made that? How do you keep them engaged, or do you?
Yeah, no, great. So one of the things that we do, in fact, we actually get a lot of positive feedback. We do a neighborhood update, and we send it out on a weekly basis. So it's like the Lafayette Market update or the Capitol Hill update, depending on where you live. And we get a lot of positive feedback on that communication, especially from people like you who are interested or looking, because it's an ongoing dialogue with you about what's going on in that community, right? So whether it's about the latest home sales, latest new listings, crime, by the way, which people love that, school information. So it's basically sort of a weekly summary of what's been happening in the community, and that's a really nice way to get people engaged after the process has ended for them. And by the way, typically after the process ended, it's certainly if you're a renter, it's usually about every 12 to 18 months. You're looking for another. You're getting ready to move, which means you're sort of an always-on searcher. That's how we think about you in the rental space. And then if you're a home owner, you're constantly thinking about improving your home, and then how would you get ready to sell it and then move into your forever home, right? So we think a lot about my first place to my forever home.
Oh, nice. And connecting all the right people in the ecosystem.
Exactly.
So switching gears a little bit and thinking about your business and the structure of your business, and it's interesting that you have marketing and product under your purview because they're so tightly integrated. How do you think about the role of IT and data in your world?
Yeah, so we were just having this conversation. I mean, so one on the product side, obviously we're hand in glove with the engineering organization. We are engineering driven. We have a fabulous team, like constantly innovating. I mean, I think with Android Wear was sort of record time in terms of when we first started talking to Google. We were the first and the only in the real estate category to being part of I/O. And so, we're really hand in glove around what's going on with the consumer, what are the key consumer insights driving the product experience, and then how do we deliver that. In terms of the IT organization, again, same thing, very close partnership with the IT organization. They definitely think of themselves as a service organization, not only to the consumer business, but to our agent business as well as to other parts of the organization. In terms of data, the way that we structured the data teams, we have a data science organization. We have a data analytics central organization that supports all of the business units. And then within business units, we also have our own analytics teams. And that works really well, right? Because the skills on those teams are different. Sort of the fire drills that they're working on day to day are also really different. And then that allows us to focus the right people on the right fire drills, at the right time.
Right, that's great. And then as we think about the future for you, what are you excited about for the future of Trulia?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, the runway is look, like we had a fabulous May, 51 million unique visitors, but that's still, there's still so much more to come. But the way I look at it is sort of beyond the business side, and it's more about what's happening for the consumer, what's happening as millennials, really enter the home buying market. So they're an enormous force in the rental market. In fact, they're the largest portion of the rental market, and their entire behavior is mobile. I mean, they're not mobile first, they're mobile only, right? And so then what does that mean for real estate when real estate is all about location and context? I mean, it's a fascinating time from a product perspective. And then as they move into the home buying process, I expect us to see a lot of very interesting evolution in terms of how do we deliver that relevant content to them at the right time in the right place on the right device, and know them really well across their life cycle.
That's terrific that you're really focused on millennials, because there's a lot of studying on what's the next category to be disrupted by millennials, just because they behave differently, they have different expectations, et cetera. Financial services is one, and real estate is certainly another. And one of the, the key things that are important to millennials is that experience. And do you want to talk a little bit about your redesign and how that is appealing to a millennial and beyond?
Right. Well, I think that in fact, actually, this morning I was reading an interview with Brad Smith, who's just a longtime mentor of mine from Intuit, and he put it really well. He's like, the bar for experience is relative to everything else, right? So it's relative to the one-click shopping experience of Amazon. It's relative to like whatever precognition of shipping you something before you know that you actually need it and it arriving at your door, right? Like these are the experience. This is the experience bar that consumers have, right? And then millennials are sort of pushing that bar even farther. And so when we redesigned the app and launched it back in the February timeframe, one, it was all about being immersive, right? And that's one of the things that has really changed in terms of mobile and people wanting to be able to browse, whether it's sort of, the lean back experience or the phone experience, is being able to browse through the home or the apartment and having that full bleed, rich, immersive experience, and then having a very photocentric experience, which again is like, look, in a world of selfies, like we know that photos are king, right? King and queen. And so having that deep, rich, sort of photo-based immersive experience was really important to us. I think the other thing that was extremely important to both the engineering organization, our design team, and our product team was speed, and not discounting the importance of speed, both actual speed as well as perceived speed in the product experience.
That's great. And did you see lifts in your metrics that matter, the engagement metrics?
Absolutely.
And, yeah, excellent. That's excellent. So do you have any last bits of advice for the team here to really think about how can you, there are a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience, how can you start to build a brand like you did from scratch, and what are the things to watch out for and learn from?
Yeah, so first I would say, again, I'm just a huge believer in the importance of great product, right? Great product, start with a great product and deliver a fabulous product experience and continue to push the envelope there. I think two is about marrying the sort of the art and the science and really deeply understanding your consumers, what's going on for them, what do they care about, and then how are you actually making their lives better? Combining that with sort of Silicon Valley strength and quant, test, iterate, scale. And then I think the third piece is really about great partners, and I think having partners who are willing to experiment with you, like we've done a lot of with Pandora, as well as partners who are willing to share that learning and that data with you, both on the insight side as well as the quant side. And I think that's one of the things that just becomes very critical as you're trying to build your brand quickly, and especially as you're trying to challenge.
That's terrific. Well, thank you so much. Are there any questions? We have 10 seconds left to have a question for Kira, if you want.
10,
9,
7, 6.
Well, thank you. This was really awesome to talk to you. You've been a wonderful partner, and we can't wait to see how you kick ass on the competition moving forward. Continue that trajectory.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.